Testing. Tony Gaskins here. We popping on in now. This going to take a little bit for this to populate on the pages because I'm using the streaming software, so it's streaming to Facebook and to YouTube. But if you watching the replay, that's why I'm going ahead and getting started because be kind of awkward if you watching the replay and you come in and you like, man, what's going on? Tony just sitting there, they ain't froze. But wanting to pop in when I don't have coaching calls, which is kind of rare, but I think for some reason this week wasn't on there on the calendar. So see, I got one tomorrow, but that's probably got rescheduled. Get back to coaching next week. If you need a coach or a consultant, visit mymentor.life. Mymentor.life. Remember that. It's not .com, it's .life. I know people who are not familiar with domains and stuff like that think everything is .com, but now today you got all everything. So it's mymentor.life. If you are a life coach or a consultant, then go join that and you can upload, your headshot, pick 3 categories you want to coach in. You got to connect to a Stripe account, which is a little bit of a process, but you could connect as an individual, or if you have an LLC, you could connect to LLC because that's where your payments go directly to you on mymentor.life. So you just pay like a monthly or annual to be on the site. I promote it just pretty much about every day to my audience, and then the coaches get booked. If you are already subscribed, then I sent you an email and you just got to log in and hit forgot password and you can sign back up. But mymentor.life, leading life coaching site in the world. We rebuilt it. So we starting back over and getting coaches back on there because we was on an outdated system, outdated site built on the back of WordPress. But shout out to my amazing developer, Austin Pennyfeather, who is from St. Kitts and Nevis. Must be amazing place over there because Austin definitely one of the top developers in the world. But wanting to pop on here because as y'all see, that's in my lane, in my purpose. And I titled this The Purpose Push on Instagram because as you can look around and see in our world, that's where we at, to where things so crazy, so reckless, so out of order that you're going to be forced to tap into your purpose and to figure it out. And one thing that I am noticing, which is common across the board, is everybody is struggling. We all struggling. We all in it's different ways from person to person, but we all struggling in one way or another. And I would venture to say 90% of people are struggling financially. We all going through it in the sense of everything, whatever level you on, your expenses increasing, but your income ain't necessarily increasing. And in some cases, income is decreasing. But at the end of the day, it ain't just about earning money. It's also about doing what you are purposed to do, what you call to do, what you're here for. And that's the hard part. And that's what you're going to hear me talking about a lot. And shout out to the Blessed Tribe members. Now to the Blessed Tribe, tomorrow, I'm opening something amazing. So please, which is my heart and soul that I'm going to be dumping everything into. So y'all please understand that I don't mind if you cancel the Blessed Tribe to join what I'm opening tomorrow. It'll open at 10 a.m. Technically already, open, but I just launching it tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then our first class will be Saturday at 6 p.m. because my son plays about 2 hours away at noon. His game will be about an hour. Then need a couple hours to get home, get some food, about 3-4 hours. So then I'll come up here to the office at 6 p.m. and everybody that's in my community that I launch tomorrow, we jumping on Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Do our first deep dive, which we'll try to do every Saturday. For those of y'all in the solopreneur, you already have been invited. I sent that to your email. And so you just check your email if you're in the solopreneur collective, because you got a honorary addition into the Purpose Pushers community. And our class is 8 p.m. tonight. So y'all know, for the solopreneur, which is slightly different, because solopreneur, you could be selling coffee, you could be selling t-shirts. It ain't necessarily got to be purpose-based to be a solo entrepreneur. Our class is 8 p.m. tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. And we do 2 of those classes a month. And that one is closed because some people was asking me, Tony, how you get in solopreneur? And I don't think I'm gonna do it next year, because I'm moving to this right here where we getting ready to really push purpose. Because as you see, it's money being made out here. It's people making money, but you got to question, and you got to say, well, how are they making money? What kind of money they making? And is it worth it to just be selling this, selling that, selling this just for money, but then to be avoiding your purpose, skipping what you're supposed to do, versus figuring out how can you live your purpose and turn that into a business, to where instead of working on somebody else's purpose on their job, you figure out a way to where you could work on your purpose and it be your job. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. And that's what full time. And that's what I want to be able to show other people and help you on that journey, so that when it's time and you're ready to make that leap, you're ready to make that transition, you can. Or if you never want to leave your job completely, you still have a purpose plan that you can be a purpose pusher and still be able to do what you call to do, so that when you leave, you can hear, well done, my good and faithful servant, because you didn't just live and die as a social security number, but you found somebody to help, who you could help, how you could serve, and you went about it with intentionality, whether it was a reward attached to it or not. But that's how we got to start thinking. And if y'all know, I saw, I posted a quote years and years and years ago. And it says, if you don't build your dream, someone will hire you to help them build theirs. And it went around the world and back. I remember somebody wrote me from Holland. I don't even know where Holland is, on Facebook. Like, are you Tony Gaskins Jr. who wrote this quote? If you don't build your dream? I say, yeah, that's me. And somebody thought it was Steve Jobs' quote. And then it was some Indian boys. They stole it and put their daddy name on it. But I remember sitting in my wife's car in front of my dead end job, and I tweeted that out, and it went viral. That probably was 2010. And I later published it on a book, my book, The Dream Chaser. I made that the subtitle. And I'm sure it had been said before in different variations, in different ways. It just happened to be in my way, in my dialect, and went around the world. And I stand on that and mean that if you don't build your dream, someone will hire you to help them build theirs. So you got to ask yourself, 10 a.m. Eastern, it opens. And I think I got the link in the description where you could join. And it's 7 days on me, 7 days, free trial, first class Saturday. So you could tap in, check it out. But I stand on that because you got to think about, what do you do for a living? Whose company is that? And what is the company doing? What is the company about? And is that all you want to do in your life? If so, then great. You mean you're in your purpose. If not, then that means you got to start finding your purpose. You got to start looking to see what can you do. And purpose come in all shapes and sizes. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like you might be handing out pound cake on Sunday afternoon in the neighborhood. And that pound cake represent love to everybody in your community. And it's the only thing they had to eat that day. And that could be a form of purpose. And so it's not a one size fits all. And a lot of people don't understand it might be a elderly lady or man that live near you that don't have anybody to look out for them or take them to their doctor's appointments, and you become the person that does that. And that is a form of purpose. And I think a lot of people get that confused, and they think that, oh, purpose means you got to quit your job, or it got to be big, it got to be grand, you got to be making millions or thousands or hundreds of thousands. And that's not the case. You could live your purpose, walk in your purpose, and it just be helping one person. Your purpose could be selling all the way out to your child and raising your child and giving your child vision and opportunity and love and support from a healed place, not trauma dumping and not terrorizing your child, not taking out your anger and your stress and your fear and your frustration and your self-hate on your child, not dumping all of your anger and pain and everything that's in you onto that child, but raising that child to be great, raising that child to dream bigger, to go beyond, and stretching and putting yourself on the line to where your child could take that coding class, be in the chess club, be on the sports team, be on the dance recitals, do those things. And you stressed out and you robbing Peter to pay Paul, but you got on your bike and had that child. So now you standing on your feet to make sure that child have everything that he or she needs. And you doing whatever it takes. 1 job, 2 job, 3 job, volunteer job, whatever it may be, you doing it. Don't shake no tail feather on no pole if you ain't got to. But if you had to do that for a season, ain't nobody, I ain't judging you. But we just gonna come up with us a pole exit strategy. So you ain't got to be up there shaking booty. But this where we got to go, because as you see, our world positioned to go to hell in a handbasket with gasoline draws on. So you want to make sure that you could go to the opposite location, to heaven, with a smile on your face, knowing you've done what you were put here to do. And you got to realize that you're not just a social security number. I don't even know if every country got social security numbers, but you more than just a number. And you start small. And if it's meant to be, you can build big, but don't feel like you got to build bigger than you are. A lot of people preach and promote, oh, you need a team, you need an assistant, you need a business partner. And that's not true. And that's the thing. Like I've been doing this full time since 2011, and I've always worked alone. And I remember getting booked for an engagement late, and I was like, man, why you booked me last? I said, you booked all these other speakers before you booked me. And he was like, well, man, I assume you'll cost $20,000. I'm like, why you assume that? He was like, I assume you had like 10 staff that's running your brand. I'm like, man, I work alone. He was like, what? You make all your Facebook posts, all your Instagram posts, all your Twitter posts? I said, I made every single post. I said, I run all of it by myself. And it's not a dream of mine to have no big staff and have all these people and all of that. No, nor do I wait on a partner. It's like, I ain't waiting on nobody to develop what God called me to develop. And anybody that don't want to get with it could get gone, and I'm gonna make it happen regardless. Like, it's gonna be a way to make it happen now. And that's what you got to realize. And the thing about it is, especially from certain communities, we raised to expect nothing from life. Certain communities are raised to just settle for being a industrial worker, going and getting a job at the factory, going and getting a job at the customer service, at the call center, going and working at the restaurant, and that's life. No, you think you put here to just slave on somebody dead end job, to be on somebody's job that they don't care nothing about you, and you die today, you replace tomorrow. They ain't even gonna bring a cake to work. They ain't even gonna have no vigil for you, no candlelight. They might mention you one time in the morning message and you forgot about it. And that's all you live for? No, you better find somebody to serve. You better find a purpose to walk in, whether you can figure out how to earn with it or not. And got to stay on the up and up. Got to stay on the up and up. And a lot of people don't realize, and we're going to talk about this, in the community that I'm opening tomorrow. And the reason why I'm doing it and the reason why I'm putting it in that capacity is because everybody mental is not there yet. Everybody not ready to learn and to grow and to stretch. But a lot of people don't even know that it only costs you a few $100s to start a nonprofit organization, and that the government don't even track or care what you do with the first $50,000 that you raise. And so a lot of people don't even realize that you could take and start a nonprofit out your tax return, and that nonprofit could be to serve any community you want it to serve. If you want to give prom dresses to high school girls because of the trauma you experienced on prom night when you was in high school, if you want to provide backpacks and school supplies at the start of school because you had to go to school without supplies, if you want to take one or two, three students school shopping to get some fresh outfits because you didn't have none growing up. Did you know in nonprofits that we donate to, 70 to 90% of their budget is salaries? So that means 10 to 30% is what's going to the thing that they say they're raising money for. And so what that means is the way these major nonprofits is being ran, that means if they raise 50,000, which the government asks you on the form, do you normally bring in 50,000 or less? And you say yes, then you done filling out your form. They don't require you to fill out every dime you spent with that 50,000. But the way these major nonprofits are ran, that means 45,000 go to their pocket and 5,000 go to the operation, go to the cause that they say they serving. And that's why they so top heavy. So you donate $1 and only 10 to 30% going to what you donating to, and the rest going to salary. That's why when you go out to eat, when you go to the McDonald's or you go to a restaurant and they say you want to round up for this charity or round up for that charity, majority of the money ain't going to the charity. It's going to all that staff they got sitting in that office, and a little bit of it going to that right there. So it's like, think about it. If you make 20, 30,000, 40,000 a year, you might as well start a nonprofit and get all your church members, all your Facebook friends, all your friends and family to donate $10, $20 out of their check. And then you start going and helping. And even if that's going down to the community center on Wednesday and you order 10 boxes of pizza, and then you mess around and meet the owner of Marco's or Hungry Howie's, and they mess around and give you the pizzas for free. So imagine all the hungry kids that's walking home past the community center in your neighborhood, and Hungry Howie's doing $6 pizzas on Wednesday. So you do 6 times 10, you spending $60 times 52 weeks in a year. You done spent $3,100 in a year. And the government let you raise 50,000 without asking you where every dime went. So that's 47,000 extra dollars that you done raise under that threshold to where you don't have to do no extensive reporting, and you blessing. If you got 6 pizzas and it's 8 pizzas per box, that's 48 slices. If you give 2 slices per child, that's 24 kids you just blessed on Wednesday. And then if your talk game good enough, you get them free pizza from Marco's on Monday, get the free pizza from Hungry Howie's on Tuesday, get the free pizza from Pizza Hut on Wednesday, Domino's on Thursday, the local pizza shop on Friday. You feeding the whole village right now. And yeah, it ain't the healthiest thing, but they gonna live because they ripping and running anyway. They had to walk home from school. And so they need them carbs and that little bit of cheese and tomato sauce. And so this how you got to start thinking. And that's why I'm opening up my community tomorrow, because this is something that's been on my heart. When I left the streets, I was searching. You know, I grow up in a place where nobody leaves. Like, people don't make it out. Like, very rarely, very few people leave the county of Polk County. Very few people, because it's comfort, you know, and that's home. And it's scared to go to the big city. It's scary to go to the big city. It's scary to start your own business. It's scary. But it just was something in me, which I don't know what, because both of my parents worked regular jobs. Neither one of them was entrepreneurs. My dad, to a degree, because he started a church at one point and had that open for about a decade. But it was something in me that said, man, it's more out here. It's more out here for me. Like, I can't just. So I tried it all. Tried to be a pro athlete, didn't work out. Tried to be overworked and underpaid like my parents, didn't work out. Tried to be a dope boy like my cousin, didn't work out. So guess what worked out? Doing the Lord's work, walking and living in my purpose. Jen, God bless you. I don't know what that. God bless you. I don't know what that is. Let's say 30 jewels. And so that's one of those things. And y'all, they had a super chat on what you call that, YouTube, and they've been promoting that to me and say, Tony, go live, do the super chat. So I think the super chat is how you ask a question. And so that's one of the things that, and I say, you know what? So I wrote a book, 22 years old, had never read a book. When I wrote and published my first book, I had never read a whole book. I hadn't skimmed, of course, the school books you got to read to take the test. Never read the summer work books. Always used the Cliff Notes or just made something up based on the title and what's on the back cover. So I wasn't no reader like that. But I sat down, I knew what the inside of a book looked like. So I set my book up like that, like a book on Microsoft Word. I remember sending it in to Author House Publishing. And they say, man, you wrote books before? I said, no, I ain't never wrote no book before. And you must read a lot. I said, no, not really. They said, well, your book already set up like a book. And I said, okay, well, yeah, let go then. And I published that thing and kept going. And not to knock nobody who stay in their hometown or don't dream bigger than their hometown or don't dream bigger than somebody else's job, but I just don't believe that's all we here for. I don't believe that's all we here for. I believe it's something in you that can help somebody. So in my latest book, The Purpose Arc, if you're not a reader, it's on Audible. You can listen to it. If you are a reader, then go to Amazon, search The Purpose Arc. It's ARC, The Purpose Arc, Tony Gaskins, and it'll come up. Get you a copy of it. And in there, and I'm going to release the workbook, but the workbook is going to be at the live seminar November 28th in Tampa Bay, Florida at the Grand Hyatt. We'll be working in the workbook there. But when you read The Purpose Arc, you're going to see the purpose formula. And probably several people have created their own purpose formula, but with mine, the purpose formula is, the root of it is pain, pain that you've experienced and or pain that you have caused. Then the second component is overcoming. You do that through prayer or reading your Bible, therapy, coaching, what have you. It's the overcoming of the pain. The third component is the lessons, extracting the lessons from what you experience. And then the fourth component is service, and that equals purpose. So when you look at the purpose formula and you go through that, and we're going to be working on this actively and continuously in the community that I'm opening tomorrow. And I believe in community, but I never had a community. I worked alone, and everything you see when you Google my name, I was by myself, just working. And that's why I'm creating the community, because I understand that that's not common and that's not fun and that's not easy. But that's the way I had to do it, because where I'm from, nobody has done what I'm doing. So I couldn't find a mentor, and then didn't know anything about mentorship. So I had to figure it out on my own. It was no one who had thought to go that route. So I had to blaze the trail and just get out there and just make it up as I was going, and just learn the hard way. And that's why at what I call the fourth level of purpose in this book, The Purpose Arc, I wrote the 4 levels of purpose, where level 1 is the student. Level 2 is the volunteer. Level 3 is the servant. And level 4 is the teacher. And so that's why I am doing what I'm doing, because after discovering my purpose, I realize it's going to take a whole lot of us to really affect change, to really have an impact. And everybody is called to serve a different demographic or in a different way. Even if you stacking with your best friend or family member serving the same demographic, you serve in a different way. So somebody grew up with roaches. Somebody grew up with no Christmas toys. Somebody grew up in a single parent home. Somebody grew up missing meals. Somebody grew up through different forms of abuse. Somebody was touched as a child. Somebody was beat on as a child. Somebody is hated by their own parent. Somebody is hated by their own sibling. Somebody grew up with a utopian mentality or perspective of the world, and then realized that their experience was an exceptional one and not the rule. And everybody has a different story. So your story determines who you should be serving. So what you have overcome can kill somebody else. So if you don't go back into your neighborhood or into the city you living in now, if it's different than your neighborhood, and find who you can help and who you can serve, some of the things you've seen or have experienced or have done could end up killing somebody else, and not necessarily literally, but you know what I mean. So that's the purpose of purpose, is to try to lighten the load, try to straighten the path of those that's coming after you or those that's right beside you. And humans have been tricked into feeling insignificant, and have been tricked into feeling like only the pastor has purpose, only the principal has purpose, only the police officer has purpose. And like you don't have a purpose because you're not a talker, you're not a speaker, you're not a thinker, you're not a visionary, you don't know how to build business, you don't know how to file taxes, you don't know how to do paperwork. So you feel insignificant, you feel insecure, and you feel like you're the only job for you is to go get on somebody's job and have them train you and have them show you how to do their job for them to build their meaningless company in a lot of cases, a company that's only serving their interest and may not be changing the world, may not be making the world a better place. And so you feel inadequate outside of that company. And in my book, The Purpose Arc, I have a chapter that says the blueprint is your fingerprint. And that's what, and you'll learn about that in the community as well, because the course is in there. And that's what you have to understand is that when you spend time with you, when you spend time with you have a blueprint and you have a plan that is divinely downloaded into you. I never forget, I was an author selling books and I was online somewhere and I saw a lady had made cupcakes with her book on the top of it. You know how they do the custom cakes and stuff like that. She hadn't used the fondant to have a printout of her book cover and was handing out cupcakes with her book on top of the cupcake in the fondant. So that's her blueprint. That never crossed my mind in book marketing. Now, I had the Dazzling Dimes, and that was a troop of 8 college young ladies who we would go to the club and a couple of them would get on stage and twerk. All of them be on stage dancing, a couple of them would twerk, and a couple of them wore boy shorts. So I was in the club scene in that 6 months when me and my wife, she was my girlfriend, but when me and her was broke up, I was in the club scene. So when I published my book, I made flyers and business cards, and I went and passed out those flyers and business cards with my book cover on it, like I was in the club, like I'm passing out club flyers, because that was how my mind was thinking. Whereas the other lady had her book cover on top of cupcakes, because she probably liked to bake. And so it's something that you know. And I want you to start thinking about this. And this is what we're going to be working on in the community. And this is what I'm going to end up giving all my time and energy and effort to, because I'm going to end up, I want to have 1,000 people sign up for it tomorrow. And I want to get the 10,000 people, because what they say, if one could put 1,000 to flight, 2 could put 10,000 to flight. Well, what if we have 10,000 of us? How many we going to put to flight? And so I know on Facebook alone, before they killed the reach and stopped letting you reach your own supporters, my page was reaching 20 million people a week. They don't let me reach 2 people now, because the message got too big. The message got too viral. They said, hold on, man. This man on here like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X with this message. This man trying to mobilize these people. Like, we want to keep these people dumb. We want to keep these people dumb and scrolling. We want them to just sit on here and just twiddle their thumb now. We don't need them starting businesses, because they the consumers. If they become the owners, they become the business owners, they become purpose pushers. Hold on, we finna lose a lot of money, because if we keep them dumb, they the number one demographic that spend all the money. They making us all the money because all they do is sit on their phone all day scrolling, because they ain't got no purpose. So we able to just serve them up all these advertisements all day, and they making us billions. And we don't even go open our own apps that we done created, because we know the people with no purpose is just sitting there on the app scrolling all day. And because they have low intelligence, that's all they gonna do is scroll all day long. And then when something is positive, we ain't gonna let that get in the algorithm. We gonna let the stuff get in the algorithm that don't make no sense. We're gonna let the stuff get in the algorithm that ain't gonna move their life forward. We're gonna give them entertainment, not education. We want to give them entertainment, because the longer they sit without a purpose to pursue, then the more money we make, because they watching video after video after video, looking for a laugh from their miserable life, or looking for some drama to distract them from their miserable life. But none of them are starting their business, building their dreams, living their purpose. That's where we want them at. So Tony Gaskins reaching 20 million people a week, kill his reach, delete his videos. I had videos get over 10 million views. Facebook took them down. They took them down. And they killed my reach. They said, man, you making too much noise. So that's why I say I'm gonna start my own community. And it'll be one putting 1,000, two putting 10,000 a flight. And that's what we got to do. Because you got to think about your lineage. You got to think about your legacy. You got to think about a lot of times we can't see past the end of our nose, but your example is what's going to be passed down to your kids. So you set an example for your children on what's possible. So if you don't even venture, and if you ain't got kids, your nieces, your nephews, your neighbors. So if you don't even venture to start a nonprofit, if you don't even venture to write a book, if you don't even venture to start your own company, then what you telling your kids? Just be a slave on somebody's job till you die? Like work 40, 50 years and never live? Leave the world and leave nothing behind? Like you can't live like that. So that's why I'm shifting into this space. Y'all know me as a relationship coach, and yes, relationships are important, but you know what's more important? Your purpose. Because love could leave you, a relationship could end. You may never meet the love of your life, but one thing you live with every day, all day, is a purpose inside of you that you got to uncover, that you got to activate. That's why I'm shifting into teaching on purpose as well, and opening this community tomorrow, because that's what I found is the most important. So I got to get up and live my purpose, whether me and my wife getting along or not, whether me and my kids getting along or not. I got a purpose to fulfill, and it's going to be spiritual warfare. But the more adamant you are about your purpose, then the more vigor you going to get up with every day, the more intentional you going to be about your life. And this is what you got to realize. Nobody is smarter than you. And that's one thing that people confused about me, because I'm country. They thought country mean dumb. And so you go on my Instagram, and it might be showing on my Facebook. I don't know, because they had deactivated to where they switched my Instagram post to go to my personal Facebook instead of my Facebook page. And so they stay messing with me. But if you go look through my last pictures on Instagram, you'll see me telling parts of my story. And as you see them different parts of my story, like working for the NBA and speaking in Johannesburg, South Africa, and all of that right there, I'm not dumb. I know that that's not something you expect from somebody who come from poor, dumb, and country, who don't have a college degree, who doesn't have a mentor or a manager or agent or a publicist. I know that. I ain't dumb, because I'm out here. The people in my space, everybody has a manager. Everybody has an assistant. A lot of people have a publicist. I'm the only one without one. Everybody has a team to a degree. I'm the only one that works alone. So I know it ain't supposed to be expected. But you know who I know? God. And when you know him, you got everything you need. When you know him, you got everything you need. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And so you sitting and you feeling inadequate. You feeling like the dream is too big for you. You feeling like because you don't have a degree, because you're not business savvy, that you can't do it. But then think about it. And so that's why I'm starting the community tomorrow. And I put the link in the description. And think about it though. You'll go watch Power. Somebody said to me the other day, I was talking to one of my clients, and she was like, yeah, like the couple on Power. And I was like, I never watched Power. Like I've heard of it, that it's 50 Cent show, but I've never watched it because it's not gonna move my life forward. Like that ain't got nothing to do with me. Like I'm working on my purpose. I ain't got time to be giving all my time to no television. Like I when I meet the Lord, he ain't gonna say what was your favorite Power episode. He gonna say, did you do what I sent you to do? You ain't getting no credit for how many episodes you don't watch. Did you do what you was sent here to do? Did you touch the lives that you were sent to touch? And I got a cousin who could cook. And it's like God might be calling him to go get a job so he could work, even if he got to walk to work, just so that he could cook and feed people who don't get to eat on the weekends. That's purpose. Guess what? Might mess around and feed somebody who turn around and put them in their will and mess around. They mama done died and they came into $1 million, and then they took and put him in their will because he gave them a hot meal every Saturday and Sunday. Like God got a way to do it for you. He got a way to take care of you now, but you got to know that your life is bigger and greater than what you've been told. And you have to see beyond the pain and the flaws of your parents and of your neighborhood. And you got to realize, and I don't know why God made my mind like this, or why he put this in my spirit, and why it wasn't common in my city, in my county, to think like this. I don't know why, but it just, from the time I was 7, I saw a platform. I saw significance. I saw being known, famous, whatever you want to call it. I saw it at the age of 7. And I thought it was going to be sports that would get me that platform. I didn't know it'll be social media and all of that, but I just felt it in my spirit. And I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to tell y'all this to the parents. I owe it to my mama and daddy, because they got into church when I was 6 years old. And I started seeing visions at 7. And I remember being 9 or 10 years old in the back seat of the car, and I'm riding and I'm talking to God, because my parents hadn't started me to talking to God, and they was living what they was preaching. See, they wasn't hypocrites. They wasn't going to church and doing all of this and then coming home and doing something else. Like they wasn't drinking and smoking and cussing and all of that, going to the club and cheating on each other. They cut everything out and they locked in on the Lord. And so they started requiring that I pray, requiring that I read my Bible. And so I'm riding in the back seat of the car and I'm crying out to the Lord. I'm 9, 10 years old. And I said, Lord, if you real, show me that you real. I'm a child. I don't know no difference. And I looked up in the clouds, and it was a cloud that was shaped like a face, had the 2 holes for the eyes, had the nose. And me as a child, you couldn't tell me that wasn't God showing me his face. So that made me believe even more. And then, of course, being young, got derailed in high school, just not being spiritually aware, not being astute, not knowing what I was going to be up against, because I didn't know my calling. So I'm living life as a normal kid, not knowing that I would be who I am today, doing what I'm doing today. So when the spiritual warfare came, I didn't know it was spiritual warfare trying to kill me, trying to put me in prison. My my best friend that I got arrested with in the 9th grade is still struggling to this day. God bless him. When I see him, all I could do is pray for him. That's what the devil wanted for me. My other best friend in the 9th grade is doing 3 life sentences. So one is strung out on drugs and has completely lost his mind. That was my best friend. The other one, best friend, is doing 3 life sentences. The other one is still trying to find his footing and trying to figure out his purpose and his calling. And so here it is, the guys that I was around, the devil got them and derailed them. And that's what he wanted for me. And that's what he wants for you. What does it say he come to do? To steal. And so now if you could finish the sentence, you chosen. If you could, what does it say he come to do? Who could finish the sentence? To steal. If you could finish the sentence, you're chosen. Because you wouldn't have that knowledge of what the adversary's goal is if you were not chosen. If you can't see Sotanicals too, Diamond Jewel, you chosen. Samar, you chosen. So what you doing by being chosen? Are you just going to work and coming home? Are you just starting companies to make money? Or are you tapping into your purpose? Who are you helping and whose life are you making better? So that's why I'm opening that community tomorrow, because and it ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. I learned some lessons on this journey. I learned some lessons on this journey. And I forgot that the good book say many are called, but few are chosen. So you can't do everything for everybody. Sometimes there's some work you got to do on your own. And you got to get to a certain level and to a certain point before you ready to be stewarded, before you ready to be helped. But it's some people you can't help. You ever tried to help some people? It's some people you can't help. You try to help them, man. Like, man, they won't help themselves. Like, no matter what you give them, no matter what you tell them, no matter what you take them, no matter what you show them, they won't help themselves. They are incapable of helping themselves. And that's because many are called, but few are chosen. And so you got to realize and understand that. And I'm going to tell you something. What you've been called to, you've been gifted for it. And this one thing that I'm realizing in this season of my life. Now, the point is being driven home, but God gave me this years ago. You know what he gave me? He said, where God plants a seed, the devil plants a weed. You got to identify your weeds. For some, it's weed. For some, it's alcohol. For some, it's porn. For some, it's fornication. For some, it's jealousy. For some, it's lying. For some, it's stealing. For some, it's cheating. You got to identify your weeds. And so when I got stressed, I started drinking me some whiskey. So I say, well, the Bible say a bishop is not supposed to have strong drink. I ain't no bishop now. So I got a strong drink. I went to make an excuse. The Bible say don't be a drunkard. I ain't no drunkard. So I'm in to tear the whiskey up. Then I went to realize, I'm like, man, okay, a couple of ounces of whiskey. Woo, feeling nice. Then I need me 2. Then I might need me 3. And I realized, I say, well, what you running from? What you scared of? What you stressed by? And then the Lord say, listen, you're going to have to learn how to say no. You're going to have to learn how to know your limits, know your capacity. Because if you letting people who won't do for themselves stress you out, and it's causing you to indulge and choke out the gift with your weeds, choking out your seeds, you're not going to complete the mission that you've been given. And see, a lot of people don't think about how great they could be without drugs, without sex toys, without pornography, without fornication, without alcohol, without gambling, lying, stealing, cheating. A lot of people don't think about how the vice is costing a price. The vice is derailing your life. So you got to get control of the vice. So here's somebody could be the greatest cook in the whole city, but they on drugs. Could be the greatest cleaner, had a #1 house cleaning, office cleaning company in the city, but they in a toxic fornicating situationship. Could be the greatest home organizer, be making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Every single human could make $100,000 a year. Every human could make 100,000 a year. And they'll tell you I'm lying. But it's the vice. It's the vices or the devices. See, y'all see me post on social media, but I don't really use social media. I log in, I post, and I get out. Log in, post, and get out. You know why? Because I realize if I stay in there too long, I'm going to be distracted. If I stay in there too long, and I follow people back just because I don't want people to think that I'm arrogant and all of that. But sometimes I realize you click that follow button too fast. You click that follow button too fast. People be posting all kind of booty hole, all kind of oil down, thong. Sit, what the world? Who in the world is this? You'll end up in that bathroom doing something you ain't got no business doing because of that social media. I remember talking to a young lady. She was like, yeah, I told him trying not to fornicate, you know. I be working it out myself. I said, you do? I said, well, how do you do that? I said, I'm curious how women do that. She said, well, I watch porn. I'm like, so you sitting there watching that and doing that? Oh, you need something else to do. Oh, you need to find your purpose, child. You need to find your purpose. I'm going to tell you what'll get you high and what'll get you off that purpose. Living in that purpose. Because once you tap into that purpose, you can't stop thinking about it. You can't stop thinking about it. You wake up every day. So in the community I'm opening tomorrow, we're going to be in the chat every day. I'm going to do a live every week, but sometimes my schedule changes. So I post a message, hey, Saturday class, Saturday school is canceled this week. We're gonna push it the next Wednesday. Because my son got a game, ain't nobody, it's a different location. Or I'm going to have such and such fill in for me. You know, I'm going to be certifying trainers and, you know, let my certified trainers teach sometimes. And then we're going to have local chapters where y'all can meet up for coffee or do little powwows and stuff like that. We're going to have retreats. And I'm going to tell you one thing that I've been able to do, living a purpose-based life without gimmicks and scams. And if you don't believe me, you go look at my page, go watch all my videos, and you'll see I don't have no gimmicks. Like I don't be on here just and I ain't knocking nobody, but I don't be on here selling nothing crazy. And the Lord has blessed me to have earned millions of dollars. And he gave me the wisdom to do that. My mom called it the wisdom to get wealth. I don't know if that's out the Bible or what, but she always say that to me. She say, you got the wisdom to get wealth. And everything I know, I'm going to teach it in the community. I'm already teaching it to my solopreneur, but this the next level up because this purpose based. So it ain't just entrepreneurship, it's purpose based. So that's why I put that link in the description. It open tomorrow at 10 a.m. Of course, it's already over. I don't know how to close it, but that's when I'm launching it. And I'm going to give you everything that I got so that you could take and put your twist on it, put your mind on it. And if I can make 10 million, hopefully you can make 20 million or maybe even just 100,000, 200,000. But I believe that we all are a small business. And if you know, like the Proverbs 31 woman, she was taking and she was going and she was making things happening, and she going down to the town and willing and dealing. She using her gift and doing this right here, doing that right there. Then she going and making business happen. And so what that said to me is like, okay, all these people down here in the town hall selling what they made. So one person making the shoes, another person making the pants, another person making the shirts, another person making the head wraps, another person making the necklaces, the jewelry, another person making the blankets, another person making the beds, another person making this, making that, making this, making that. And so now everybody's shopping with each other. And because everybody got a different gift. And then the ones who stack gifts and they got the same gift, the people are multiplied. So it's enough people to go around. So all these 4 people all making a blanket, but each one of them got 10 customers a piece. And so they still could eat. And that's what we got to realize. And so you got to make sure that you the farmer and not the cattle. And that's the problem in our world is a lot of people are the cattle instead of being the farmer. And you got to pick a side and you get the choice. You get to choose. Do you want to be the farmer or do you want to be the cattle? And so y'all stay tuned. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., I'm launching my new community, the greatest one to date. I've toyed around with different ones and all of that. But when I went away for my solo trip, 3 nights, 4 days, the Lord just dropped this in my spirit. The Purpose Arc was written without AI. And I know that's hard to believe because I wrote it in 2 days, but I don't play by that. And y'all know how AI sounds. You read the book and you'll be able to tell that I wrote it. And I wrote it in 2 days. It's 100 pages, but it's more so the formulas in it that God gave me that I can't take credit for. And that's why I try to tell people, like, people get all up in their feelings about religion and all of that. Y'all, that's the white man religion. Y'all believe in a white man. That's the white man God. The white man told you about Jesus. But listen, I'm going to tell you like that right here. When you experience God, you don't care about nothing but what nobody talking about. I'm not listening to nobody bitter behind try to tell me about what I don't know. Because when you read the Purpose Arc, you're going to see. And see, what I did is I went to ChatGPT and I said, edit this chapter. I said, edit this chapter without changing my voice. Edit for punctuation and grammar. You know what ChatGPT told me? ChatGPT said, Tony, I ain't never heard of the Purpose Arc. ChatGPT said, Tony, you calling this book the Purpose Formula, you need to call it the Purpose Arc. Guess what? I went to Amazon and typed in the purpose formula, and it was a few books I already titled that. I typed in the purpose art. It was no books. Now I met a young lady who she had said the purpose art and she was coaching on it, she say, but she didn't buy the .com. You know why she didn't buy the .com? Because she didn't have guidance. She didn't have a community. And so that's what I'm going to be teaching y'all in this community. So I bought the .com for 1 cent. And then when I searched it on the trademark thing, nothing came up. She had the TM behind her name, but it didn't come up on the trademark. So I filed a trademark for the $350. And I published the book. There was no other book named The Purpose Art. And Amazon got over 10 million books. So because she didn't have community, she didn't push. She ain't lock it down. Like I guess she didn't fully carry it. And maybe because she didn't fully carry it, God gave it to me. He dropped it in my spirit and he say, I know you gonna carry it. And that's what I'm gonna tell you. And this is what I have learned. If God give you something, you better push it to the max and you better push it right away. You better push it to the max and you better push it right away. You ever had an idea and you might have told your best friend or your mama or somebody, and you ain't start trying to figure out how to bring that idea to life, and then you look up a year later and your idea is on a commercial, and you like, what the world? What the world going on? Like, that's my idea. I had the idea. I remember I had the idea for Instacart. You know, Instacart shipped the grocery delivery. And I got a homeboy who family founded a grocery store. So I took and emailed him and say, man, we need to start a grocery delivery company. I say, let's get one little car like a Toyota Corolla. Let's wrap it, put this name on it, make it the same colors as your family grocery store, and let's go into business. He laughed me off. He said, yeah, bad idea. Yeah, bad idea. No, bad idea. And then next thing you know, here come Instacart. A couple years later, Instacart come out. I wrote it butt so fast. I said, you see this here? You see that? And then he gonna go and Google and see where it came up a couple years before I mentioned it to him. But it's like, what does it matter if it existed or they say they started it, but it wasn't in our area? We knew nothing about it. So we thought that it was impossible for it to happen because we knew nothing about it. So we thought that's never gonna happen. That's a dumb idea. Guess what? Now my wife, they number one customer. They to my house delivering groceries every day. And I'm like, so child, you can't ride 5 minutes up the street to the grocery store no more? You know why? Because people love convenience. You know what the pandemic did? The pandemic pushed us into purpose. It pushed us. So now it's creations that was caused by necessity that we still use today. And one of those is curbside pickup. Target, my wife used Target curbside pickup every week. And they didn't have curbside before the pandemic. But now, even after the pandemic, they still using it. Every restaurant, every store is still using curbside pickup when nobody had that. But you got to think about this now. God had to send a pandemic for people to be pushed into purpose, for people to go within to discover their next level of creativity. You got to ask yourself, what does a pandemic look like in your life? What does a pandemic look like in your life? And what you got to realize is a pandemic could kill you. So don't wait on a pandemic to be pushed into purpose, because you might have to go into purpose with no legs. You might have to go into purpose with no arms. You might have to go into purpose with your best friend gone, your family member gone. You better sit down and get the vision before the pandemic. I'm gonna tell you what happened. Tell you something that happened, and I'm about to get on off here. I got to teach at 8 o'clock tonight. Let me tell you what happened. The community opened tomorrow at 10 a.m. It was September of 2019. The Lord dropped in my spirit. He say, you need to be home because your son getting older and he getting tested and he's going to get beside himself if you're not home. And y'all going to get into it. Y'all going to bump heads, but you need to be home where he could see you every day. And the Lord say, stop traveling, doing traveling tours, and get on YouTube and watch what I do. So I'm doing traveling tours, and I got 200 people coming out, 300 people, 700. If I give myself some time, and it's a bigger city and what have you. Tickets $25, max $80, come with a book, come with a picture and all of that. But I'm just ripping and running. I'm up and down all around the world. I'm taking the tour all around the world. I took the tour to the islands, took the tour to Africa, took the tour everywhere, Canada, everywhere. And the Lord said, you need to be home. So I got on YouTube and I started posting. At that point, my YouTube was making $170 a month because I would post like 1 to 3 videos a month. I started posting like 3 videos a week. Had a video guy filming it for me. Thought I needed that. It went to 200. It went to 400 the next month. I'm like, oh, hold on, that's something here now. Because I was enjoying spending that $170 I was getting on the 21st of every month from YouTube. 400. Now, hold on, now, I could do something with it here. 400. The next month, it went to 800. I'm like, hold on now. 800 now. Then it went to 1,500. Then it went to 3,300. Then it went to, I think, 9,900 or 9,000. Then it went to 11,000. Then it went to 22,000. I said, hold on now. This YouTube paying like this. And what made me mad is the motivational speaker, big motivational speaker manager, told me it was no money in YouTube. So that's why I ain't do it. I've had YouTube since 2011. I ain't start posting regularly till 2019 because I was told it's a waste of your time. But when the Lord said move, I moved. And that YouTube went all the way up to 39,000 in a month. I said, my God. I used to make 20,000 a year working 40 hours a week at the group home. The Lord took and put me in a position to where through one stream of income, which is YouTube, was making that every single month. And that was from 2019. It's 2026. And my YouTube still make $20,000 plus a month. And I don't share numbers. I don't like share numbers. I don't like tell all that right there because I already be knocking on your door. Oh, really? Well, where do you give us out of that? Listen, y'all take me to jail like Wesley Snipes. I'm gonna be riding kites on y'all. I'm gonna be running the community from the jailhouse phone. Mama call you, call into the line. I'm gonna get this message from the phone because the IRS tripping. But listen to me. I'm gonna give you the game. Because a lot of people talk about it, but they don't really do it. They Google it, make it sound good and then put it in a course, but I ain't never really did it off the muscle, out the mud, coming from nothing, with no mentor, no team, no assistant, no manager. Like, listen, I never even had a friend or a family member come and ask to help me because they didn't have a clue where to start. Where we come from is so different. You don't think about doing what I'm doing. So nobody even knew where to start. Nobody felt even comfortable or confident. My blood sister didn't even say, bruh, can I be your manager? Can I be your assistant? Because she didn't know what to do. And so I had to figure it out. And now I'm at the fourth level of purpose, which is to teach, which is to show other people how I figured it out. And no success is guaranteed. I got a quote that I spent off of Carrie Hilson, the R&B singer. I like to give credit where credit is due. But I did an interview in Atlanta on V103, they radio station. And after doing that interview, Carrie Hilson had saw me on the interview. And so she tweeted something like, Tony Gaskins is the truth or something like that. And she followed me. And so I followed her back. And in her bio, it said, sleep sold separately. And I was like, man, that's dope. That's not sleep sold separately. I'm like, I guess like when you got a dream and when you working and you grinding, your sleep is sold separately. Now, you know what that's a spinoff of is battery sold separately. You know, you buy the toys and it say battery sold separately. So she put sleep sold separately. So I wrote a quote that said, the dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately. And motivational speaker picked it up. They be stealing it, using it, like they said it, like they wrote it. But I'm a writer by nature. So and all of my ink got blood in it. So I know what's mine. And you know, I done fell out with a few of them because they don't understand the importance of intellectual property. That's how I feed my kids. That's how I take care of my wife. My wife ain't had to work in the last 20 years because of intellectual property. And a lot of people don't understand that, but I'm going to teach you about that in our community. And I wrote that, and that's what it takes, a hustle. Like you got to hustle, you got to go, you got to grind. When I say hustle, I don't mean finesse, I mean hard work. And I wrote another quote that went viral, and motivational speakers took it again. Somebody published a book with it as the title. I said, my goodness. And the quote says, you can't cheat the grind because it knows exactly what you have invested, and you can only get out what you've put in. And it went viral, went around the world and back. And I wrote that with blood in the ink because you only gonna get out what you put in. And here's the thing, and a lot of people don't think about this. People don't think about the conditioning. We've been conditioned to get something for nothing. How many people love food stamps? Who gonna turn food stamps down? But you know what food stamps do? Food stamps, it blunts your desire for the grind. How many people love WIC? How many people love Section 8? How many people love all of the government assistance? How many people love unemployment checks? So we've been conditioned to get something for nothing. And so that's our mentality. And I'm going to tell you something now. It takes growth. So that's why with the community, that's why I put a little fee on it, because I only want people whose mindset has stretched to the point that they understand sacrifice. They understand personal development. They understand self-investment. They understand those things because of what they have suffered, what they have gone through. And the good book says all work has a reward. And a lot of us don't realize that. So, hey, y'all stay tuned. I need to post on my YouTube community page from my Substack today, because I have my Substacks going out this week. And I post on my YouTube community page my little note for you. And so y'all stay tuned for tomorrow. The community opens. It's not for everybody. And don't be mad if it's not for you. If you're not there yet, and just know the time is coming, because you see how much game I gave in this hour and 16 minutes. So, and I'm gonna tell you something, that's what I did. I got on Oprah Winfrey show for free because I was on a free call like this right here. And a man dropped a jewel on the call on how to write pitches to the media. And I took that jewel and I used it for free. So listen, you might not be at the place where you can invest in yourself yet, but what you got to do is invest your time. And so you invest in time like this right here. So when you invest that time, you got to take notes. You got to go back and watch it again. Make sure you ain't miss nothing. And then you got to take what you learn and you got to activate it. And when you activate, that's going to get you to a place where you can invest in yourself. And that's what you got to realize and understand. So, hey, this is Tony Gaskin. God bless you. Keep your head up. If you're in the Solopreneur Collective, we got a call tonight, 8 p.m. I'll send that Zoom link out. Tomorrow, my new community, the Purpose Pushers. And we trying to break the internet with that right there. Like I want to have more people pursuing purpose than any other purpose community in the world. And so y'all gonna hear me talking about that every day. Every day. Cause listen, when I meet them, I want them to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Mission is complete. Oh, and if you're on my YouTube, I got a video going out tonight. Ooh. I got a video going out tonight. It's 2 hours long. When I tell you I thought I was gonna die last night, when you watch that video, you gonna see what I'm talking about. And then you gonna be mad with me now. But you gotta realize I'm built different. And that's why I do what I do. You're gonna be mad with me because you be like, Tony, cut that phone off. What? Why you on that phone? What? Listen. I was driving home from a business meeting from an insurance agency. A lot of people don't know I got a life and health insurance agency. And I'm licensed in about 40 states. And I took my 215. When I tell you I'm a go-getter now, I ain't playing around with you. So yes, I'm a licensed insurance agent. And I got an agency called the 1322 Agency, which is based on Proverbs 13:22. So we looking for new agents who want to get their license. I got mine on the first try, so I know you could get yours. And then for people who already got their license, want to come on over to this side. Come on over here. Them more email. I can't remember what our email is. I think it's 1322agency@gmail.com. Come on over here. And I was driving home from a meeting that was 4 hours away. And boy, when I tell you the sky fell out, I said, Lord, I said, Lord, I've been living scared. Lord, I've been living beneath my purpose. Lord, I've been shy to get on Facebook. I said, Lord, since you blew me up on Facebook and got me 1.7 million followers on there, Lord, I don't even want to go on there no more. I've been shrinking. I don't even post on Facebook. I said, Lord, forgive me. I said, Lord, you get me home through this lightning that looked like it's hand picking people and taking them out tonight. Lord, I'm finna go all the way in my purpose. That thing was symbolical. That drive home last night was symbolical. You hear me? It was like, my goodness, it was like I rolled through a force field, through a threshold. It was like the breaking, the pressing, the purging, that thing was, oh my goodness, I ain't never been that scared. I ain't never been that scared. And I stayed scared because I had the phone recording while I was driving. Man, listen here, boy. My heart racing just talking about it. But you're gonna see it's 2 hours long. You got to get into it a little bit before you see what I was driving through. Oh my goodness. But I made it, and I ain't never going through it again. You hear me? I see a drop. I'm pulling off on the exit and logging in that hotel. But I made it. And so I told the Lord, I said, I'm launching the community Friday, Lord. You let me get home. I really thought and I was trying not to think negative, but I'm like, I'm about to get struck. This lightning striking right behind me. And then I keep kind of cross these bridges. Had to cross them bridges. So now I'm up there with the lightning. Me and the lightning up there talking to the Lord. I said, oh my God. And then people was wrecking. I'm passing by people stuck on the side of the road. I'm passing by wrecks. All the police workers was out there like they fixing the road or fixing lightning strike in the road. I'm like, what's going on? I seen a man whole back end was dented in from somebody running into the bike of him because the rain was so heavy. Somebody had to ran right into the bike of him. I said, Lord, please get me home, Lord. So yeah, you're gonna see that tonight. I think I got it set to go out at 8 o'clock. Because I don't want to keep you up too late. But that I just set it out to go out at night so you could feel what I was feeling. It wouldn't match if I let it go out in the daytime. But hey, God bless you. Keep your head up, keep going, and we'll talk soon.